Your
What have you done to your cables?
is so tangled up.
No, I think it's a metaphor for my life.
I see. No, seriously, that is like a rat's nest.
Well, I'm a rat.
Oh.
I'm a pack rat.
What are you packing?
My muscles.
He just
flexed.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to be starting a new training regimen.
Oh,
Sumo.
You. That's going to be your training
Joshua, I
regimen.
don't know if that's necessarily.
I am not going to eat like a sumo wrestler, but I'm going to train like a sumo wrestler.
So huge, crazy stretches in the morning, followed by wandering around in a circle. I watched those YouTube videos that you showed me.
Yes.
That's all they do is they just push at each other. So who are you going to push
but
against?
the
Your
thing
wife?
is I have a
Or
wall.
Kylie, she'll just fall over.
The thing is
She'll push against the wall.
have you seen them lift each other? They're freaking 400 pounds and they're lifting each other like
they are
they're
pretty buff. They are pretty buff.
derps.
Derps.
Yeah.
I am not going to do that
Oh, okay.
because I would hurt myself.
I hurt myself cleaning, so I mean.
Dude, I do that. I'm out of breath
Plus,
when I clean.
Oh, see, mine's not out of breath. I lean over and grab something and lean back up, and my back goes, nope.
the McBride back. That
And
right there
knees,
is
man.
I mean, if only we had taken pictures of my horrible.
You are doing a lot better though.
I am doing much better now. I was walking at like a 45-degree angle for
You
a good
were.
chunk
I know.
of time.
Literally
and it was
looked like-
the funniest thing I've ever seen.
It was so bad.
I so look forward to, 60 years from now when all of us are walking like that, and I'll just keep laughing.
Josh, 60 years from now, if I'm not dead, you need to put me in the ground.
Oh, that's true. You're old, fat, and proud of that.
There you go, Danny.
Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
I am keeping that in forever.
I was for some
Ammunition
reason.
for future reference.
So for those of you who don't know, most of this is BS, like what I do,
Right.
improv. And so when I say
So,
old or short or something, I have to finish it with Pooh Bear's phrase.
right.
You're definitely, not taking away our credibility here, Joshua. I'm
Thanks,
just BSing
Josh.
everything.
This is nothing. Let's get started.
Do we have to?
We do.
Oh.
Welcome, everyone, to Twaddling Along. Back again with the beginning of our 3-episode arc. We're going to call it an arc. Today is history. I am your host, Dan McBride, here with my brothers and co-hosts, Jake
Do you know there was a war that was started over a bucket?
and Josh.
Yes, I did.
What was the name of the war, Josh?
The Bucket War.
That's right.
The bucket war.
The War of the Bucket.
So this week, Jake, you get to decide what we're talking about.
Oh, crap, I forgot.
Let's talk about
Let's Google funny things
funny things
in history. Ooh, here, the emu. Emu. There you go. The emo war.
The emo war.
It's still going on, man.
Tonight I'm gonna over again.
Tomorrow we ride for Hot Topic.
Those white jeans aren't white enough.
I can hear them coming. The chains are hitting the floor.
They're just so sad. So not the emo war,
Oh, man.
the emu war.
Now I want a movie on that. I would watch it.
Hey, we just need to reach out to Jared Hess or whatever his name is.
He would do it.
He would.
After watching the Minecraft movie, I'm convinced that Jared Hess would do pretty much anything that anybody asked him.
And everyone
it would,
loves him for it.
It would be funny. They've made so much money.
They made a lot of money.
So much money.
They probably approached him, and I'm sure other directors might have been approached, and they're like, Minecraft, you can't make that. And Jared Hess is like, oh, yeah.
And do you know what
I
I'm
could
going to
make
get?
it.
I'm going to get Aquaman and Kung Fu Panda to do a movie together.
And play the most ridiculous characters.
And then
then-
get a bunch of other actors who don't quite know how to act yet, but they're
sorry.
getting there.
They're getting close.
They're getting there.
They're getting close.
I thought the best actor was the dog.
The dog was fun.
What was his name again?
Are you talking about the wolf?
Dude, he was tame.
Oh,
Dog.
is it considered a dog if you tame a wolf in Minecraft?
I don't know if are they considered wolves still?
I think they're still considered wolves.
Here's my one complaint about the movie. Can we
Yes.
just do a little segment?
Sure.
Lava chicken.
Lava chicken.
It's not a chicken.
What is it?
The Minecraft people, say that it's a cross between a duck and a chicken. So it's a dickin or a chuck.
So you mean the fact that they cluck
Yep.
and
So it could have been lava dickin or a lava chuck. They ruined a perfectly great moment.
they had a good thing going. They could have. Can you imagine Jack Black's song with that?
Minecraft, the movie, rated R.
Yeah. Jack Black could have used all the material he uses in his other songs for that type of stuff.
Seriously.
But yeah, that was my one complaint, that they named it a chicken, but they're not chickens.
They're called chickens.
But they're
if you
also
play the game,
ducks.
it says chicken. They are not ducks.
That's what literally, man.
That's what what's his face mate said.
Literally, man.
Literally, man.
The guy who's from Sweden
What's
or
his
Norway,
name? Who's the
Notch.
Notch? There you go. He said that they're not true chicken.
Yes.
I think you're just making this
Well,
up.
I will be
because
honest.
he wanted to use the word Dickin and Chuck on a mic.
For the longest time, I thought the villagers.
The villagers.
I think I had a little bit too much to drink.
The villager.
The villager's nose, I thought for the longest time was just a pipe, like a smoking pipe.
Oh yeah.
I thought that's what it was, and I honestly think that's probably how it started. But then the nose just became like people recognized.
People are like, this is the nose.
So they were some weird looking things in the movie.
They were really.
Don't get me wrong,
but I enjoyed it. I mean, I really liked the movie.
I did like the movie too.
It was a dumb, turn off your brain kind of movie and just sit back and enjoy it.
Which honestly is my favorite type of movie. I will take that. The only other movies that I can kind of not do that for are the Marvel movies, but man, I can go back and watch Lord of the Rings and nerd out anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old action movies or adventure movies. So like Indiana Jones.
I do like Indiana
Can
Jones.
literally just turn off the brain. Goonies.
I've never watched Goonies.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good show. It's got a lot more swears than I remembered.
Did you show it to your kids?
If you do
Dude.
watch it, maybe watch it without children.
I watched a few movies recently, like old movies, and I found out, holy crap.
The 80s, man. Everything was
90s,
different.
man.
Prior to the PG-13 rating.
For example, I told my wife, I was like, I have a show on Halloween we need to watch. And it's called Young Frankenstein.
I love Young.
I have never been more horrified to show my wife a movie.
Young Frankenstein is pretty darn tame.
Do you know me?
Yeah, that's true. You are a prude. Just
I mean, when my wife and I were when we were first married, we were just looking through Amazon at some of the different videos, and we came across Airplane, which was rated PG.
rated PG.
And there was definitely some scenes in there that I don't think would be PG-13, or maybe even R.
Early 80s nudity.
Yeah. It was a really funny film, and I love Leslie Nielsen.
Who the heck is that?
Especially before
Who's Leslie Nielsen?
he did Naked Gun and
He's
some
that
of
one.
stuff.
He's the vampire that gushes blood in
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of excited to see what they're going to do with Liam Neeson.
I am too.
Taking over that.
I didn't have a whole lot of faith until that scene where they were saying goodbye and thank you to the pictures.
and
And they were going down,
them.
and then they got to the O.J. Simpson picture. That right there, that convinced me. Okay, this film is actually gonna be pretty good.
There might be
Liam
some
Neeson's Irish, man. He could be as funny as heck.
Well,
I know, but
Irish people are
that's the
funny.
thing is it's not.
Racist.
He's not trying to be purposefully funny. It's one of those.
No, yeah.
He's
and that's
supposed to be deadpan.
Well, that's what Leslie Nielsen was to begin
Yeah.
with. Leslie Nielsen was like a serious actor, and when he was like cast in Airplane, it was to be like super tongue in cheek. Like, I mean, it's the same reason Robert, what's his name, is also an Airplane. The guy who's the Unsolved Mysteries guy. He's an Airplane too. Robert.
Which one is he? Is he the pilot or?
He's the one that gets on at the very end and like gets him to land the plane.
Robert De Niro.
That's it.
Oh, am I right?
No, you're not even anywhere close.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, dude, I'm awesome.
Robert De Niro.
Robert Downey Jr., was he like 10 years old?
No, God, what is his name? Robert Stack. Robert Stack.
Do you know every time someone brings up like an airplane in a movie, do you know what movie I think of?
Incredibles.
Opus.
Oh,
Opus.
A Wish for Wings That Worked. Fantastic.
That airplane scene used to freak me out. Did you know that?
Berkeley breathed.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea.
It's a real
the,
movie.
It's the shrieking lady, isn't it?
It's
What?
Starboard Accelerator. Fantastic. If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, so Berkeley breathed, the newspaper comic, who did Bloom County, also did Opus, and they put out a Christmas show called A Wish for Wings That Worked.
And they had
It is
Robin Williams, who is
Robin Williams.
funny.
Who wasn't credited? If you
He was
look.
not.
Really?
Yeah.
He was
Interesting.
not.
I still watch that every Christmas.
He's an albatross.
And you know who played the chicken?
The chicken?
Yeah. Wish for Wings That Worked.
I just remember, what was it? The cross-dressing
Cockroach.
cockroach.
I actually have the book A Wish for Wings That Worked at home, I think. I used to
I
have.
love that
there's
his-
a book for it?
I love
yeah.
that his butt implant falls off.
We're saying so many things, and all the listeners are like, what is
I-
going
This
on?
is getting deep.
This is really good because, I didn't really want to do history, so this is working out really
Too
well.
bad. Tress McNeil was the chicken.
Stress me now.
Oh, you are kidding me. You guys don't know who Tress McNeil is? How about Babs Bunny, Dot Warner, Gadget?
Josh, Daisy Duck.
Oh, yeah. I guess Daisy Duck is a good one. Daisy Duck.
She is everything.
Literally
animated-
everything on The Simpsons.
Dot from Animaniacs.
Oh,
Futurama.
it's a woman?
Yes.
Let
Yeah.
me see.
She's like one of the most
I don't know.
well-known voices. Probably.
She can do everything. She does a ton of voices in The Simpsons.
She's mom on Futurama.
Yeah. She has that
Never
really.
seen Futurama.
She's that.
You've never seen Futurama?
No.
Oh,
I have to admit, it took me a long time. I finally watched it about 2 years ago. I haven't watched the new seasons yet.
and then you realize it's one of the most amazing shows ever put
It
together.
is okay. I will admit, I like Disenchantment more.
Disenchantment is pretty darn
It
funny.
is pretty funny.
It
But
is
I
pretty
mean,
darn funny.
I also really enjoyed the first 10 seasons of Simpsons as well. So.
So.
But yeah, Tress is pretty good. You get Tress together. You get it with Jess. Jess and then Paul, the guys that did the Animaniacs.
Oh, yes.
When you get them together, they are so funny because they can do
a
lot of
they
different
are
voices.
Very, very.
I watched the Goofy movie
documentary.
Oh,
Those three, the Goofy.
he's been goofy for a long.
See, and I don't.
time.
I'm like, we have to keep him. Like, we have to literally. He's the one you have to like keep around.
Yeah, because he's like
he is goofy.
he is goofy.
Yeah. And then what's his face who does all the voices?
Jim Cummings,
Yep, Jim Cummings, and then the Maniacs guy who does the
Paul Colson. No,
yeah.
something like that.
You get those three together, and they're also
Well, it's funny because
really
Jim
funny.
Cummings has a podcast himself.
yeah.
And he'll get them on there, and when they talk about all their stories, it's pretty incredible.
Shout out to Jim Cummings. If you'd like to come and just hang out with us,
And talk to us.
and we'll do a universe together podcast.
No, it really all it's going to be is us just asking him to make certain
Can you
voices.
say this like Winnie the Pooh? Can you say this
Can
like
you do
Pete?
Darkwing Duck?
Can you do Darkwing Duck for us?
Can you sing? Oh, flip! I just forgot the name.
Well, are you talking about the Scar?
Yes.
Yes.
Be prepared.
Dun 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 dun. He also did the singing for Rasputin in
Yep, Anastasia.
Anastasia.
Why didn't he just do Rasputin?
I think he did.
No, there's someone else did it.
No?
And then he did the voice. He tends to do the singing voice for a lot of people. So
I didn't realize he was Ray from Princess and the Frog.
you didn't realize that?
No.
Oh,
It sounds like
it's
Pete,
very
just
yeah, I was
as
gonna
he's
say,
in Louisiana.
a Louisiana Pete.
Louisiana Pete.
So
Well, now I want to know who was.
Rasputin.
Oh my gosh! It was Christopher Lloyd.
Really?
It was.
Christopher Lloyd did Rasputin.
Was Rasputin.
I haven't watched that movie for so long. I just can't put two and two together.
My wife loves that movie. We
Anastasia?
listen to the music all the time.
That is one of the darker movies.
So
out
that one
there.
was
That's pretty.
that was a traumatizing
dang
one as a
dark.
kid.
Speaking of history, Rasputin is a dark time in
Hey,
history.
I've got him on the list. Oh, it's happening.
He is something.
Hey, thanks, Josh, for bringing us back onto topic.
Hey.
Jake.
Oh,
we're
crap.
supposed to be talking about history, and instead we just got off on a wild tangent.
Could we go back to the Emu War, please?
This is just shows that we're freaking Disney adults.
Yeah, we are. Sorry, everyone.
We're Disney adults, and we're also, I'm a cartoon nerd to the max when it comes to the 1990s and 2000s. Even 1980s. I was born after that, but I watch a lot of the 1980s.
That's because
cartoons.
Danny was born in the 80s and had control of the
I
remote.
watched a lot.
Well,
of
and
the
they had a
1980s.
lot of them on TV. Goof Troop. I was watching Goof Troop
Oh, yeah.
all the time. DuckTales.
Tailspin.
Darkwing Duck.
Gargoyles. That
Gargoyles
was more
was
of a
really good,
90s. But
Gargoyles was 90s. Gargoyles,
It was
it's
phenomenal.
only now that I realize that Gargoyles is just an excuse for the people of Star Trek The Next Generation to
something
get together
together.
and do something together.
They were still doing Star Trek at the time, weren't they?
I think they were.
Enterprise?
So, but they're just like, Next
Next
Generation.
Oh,
Picard.
I'm pretty sure they were done by the 90s.
No.
Because the one lady came out and then...
Because they were doing movies up until I think
Well, yeah, they did
way
way later.
in the early.
I know, but Star Trek, they had Voyager.
Yeah, but there was crossover.
Oh, was
It
there?
It wasn't just like one ended and the other began, because you also had Deep Space Now. Oh, here we go. We're nerding out again.
See, this is an area I'm not as familiar with. My wife knows Star Trek pretty
Jake,
good.
you're not a Trekkie. You're a Star Warsy.
I never really got into the Star Trek. I can watch Next Generations.
Next Gen is good.
And I watched a few of the originals with my wife just because, she's a little bit more familiar with the stories and stuff. But I like Star Wars because they have lightsabers.
Original one went to 94.
Oh, wow.
Star Trek The Next Generation.
When you watch the bloopers for those, though,
They are funny.
they are really fun because
They are
that cast
super funny.
cast was phenomenal together.
Well, anything with Patrick Stewart is genius.
Yeah. I love that show. You know what it is? I was a little kid when it first came out. Like it came out when I was born. And I remember watching it not only with mom and dad, but I watched it with like our aunts and uncles up at grandma's house all the time. Like Kristen especially. Like I would watch a ton of Star Trek.
See, and that's the thing. I don't remember uncles and aunts being at the house,
I guess you wouldn't.
like living there, because they were all gone by the time I was born. Well,
because you're young.
yeah,
You were
Spencer got
young.
married.
We're
when
just
I
shouting
was
out
born.
all our.
But
Sorry, everybody.
our other aunt, what do you want me to say that? Our other aunt got married, but she was already moved out of the house by the time I came around.
I love Star
Oh,
Trek.
you're young.
Yeah.
You missed out on so many of the good years of the 90s.
You missed out on all of the history. Hey, Jake, what are we talking about for history this time? That was a segue, everybody. I'm
That
really
was
proud
a
of
really
it.
good segue.
I'm really proud of it.
How many minutes do I have to take up?
At least an hour.
Oh, damn it. We haven't wasted like 30 minutes talking about
Oh,
stuff.
Jake, we can waste as much time as you can
right,
with
well,
this.
But I do want to talk about the Emu War.
Let's talk about this just because, because you guys know how much I love history. So
Hey, everyone, Jake hates history.
Hates history.
well, that's rude. I've never said that on the podcast in the last several episodes. So, I went on Google and I said, I need something funny. And so I typed in funny history events. And one of the first things that popped up was the Emu Wars. And there was a meme that immediately popped up that showed an emu head. And it said, Australians versus the emus. Spoiler alert, the emus won. And I went, what is this? I want to see what this is. Well, it turns out it was an actual war between the Australians and the emus. Now, because of how popular Bluey is, I picture this with dogs versing the emus. It's just a beautiful. I think they should do a Bluey episode.
Bandit and Chili shooting at emus.
Yes. Well, no, it would be Bandit, his brother, and Lucky's dad. Just because that's
true.
all it was. They're just the three soldiers. So, anyway, So we're gonna jump into that during an exciting time in human history, the 1900s.
Dun, dun.
That's true. This was during right in the middle of all the fun.
Yep. So this is specifically happened in 1932. To give you a little pretext about what's going on, you have a bunch of the Australian military men coming back from World War One. They said, "Hey guys, guess what? Let's move you to the west. We'll provide you farming land." They did this out of the goodness of their heart. I say with quotation marks. But it probably was just as a way to try to get people to expand and get things moved along, because the West was just not some place that they had settled out.
There's also a little bit of a not so nice part of that history of taking over Aboriginal lands during the same time.
Yeah, there's that, and they also can you say that word, Danny?
Aboriginal.
Those that sounded bad. I apologize.
The Aboriginal people.
The Aboriginals. Anyway, so they actually served in the military too.
They did.
Yeah.
But like I think only 3 were approved to get farmland,
Yep.
and the rest didn't. And so it's like, oh, you guys didn't get approved. But you know what? Your buddies, they all get to take that. So
Yeah. So I just want to point out, I love history. That's my thing. The Australians, if you look at American history, at about 75 to 100 years, it kind of mimics U.S. history. So in the 1820s, our dear president,
Andrew
Jackson did the Indian Removal Act.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of Australia's version of that, of expanding out into Aboriginal.
Yeah, except that they were I don't want to say worse, but they were really, really bad.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to have a short history lesson that's also very fascinating, Quigley Down Under. Quigley Down Under is actually about the removal of Aborigines. And it's a stark reminder that
Us English folks suck.
Yeah.
you guys are taking all the joy out of this funny historical event.
Well, I was just going to say, Australia was a prison state.
You guys are making me love history again.
The British brought them over and dumped them on their shores and said, go.
Good luck. So tell us about the emus, Jake. Not the genocide of an entire people.
Yes, let's get to lighter times. Let's talk about
don't know if
the
this lighter
attempted emu side.
PETA is going to be so pissed.
What's really funny is on YouTube, like this is a big thing for like those that are like animal activists, because it's like the animals won. Anyway, okay. So during this time, these farmers are out in the West. They're getting grumpy about the conditions they live in, and they're trying to grow wheat. And what do you know? Wheat is well liked by a particular bird group. The bird group is emus.
And if anybody, we're talking under the assumption that people know what an emu is. It is a small ostrich, pretty much.
It can be anywhere from like 5 to 6 feet. It has just it looks like a type of ostrich, just with a smaller head.
My favorite videos on YouTube are baby emus running around.
Yeah.
If you've ever looked them up, they are hilarious because they are the most like just floppy looking creatures in the world. Anyways.
And I also want to point out that emus are direct descendants from dinosaurs. Whoa. So this was actually a war against dinosaurs.
It was a
dinosaurs
war
versus
directly.
man.
All the videos I looked up just kept putting the emus in military gear. It was really funny. So one of the people started out by saying, they had survived. These emus had survived all sorts of deadly animals, like these super gigantic anacondas and these other things that had just kind of lived in Australia. And here are these humans that think they can take care of these. But so the emus come in, eat the wheat. It makes people upset. The people complain to the government. Government's like, but then it becomes a problem because the people out west are like, do you know what we need to do? We need to secede from the others, and we'll make our own. And so they're like, okay, do you know what? Wait, stop, guys, wait. Before you move, maybe we can help you a little bit.
One thing to point out is when we're talking about emus coming into like their cropland, we're not talking like a couple hundred.
You said emos.
Emos. Oh my god! It's
Because
like a
tonight I'm
zombie
gonna.
zombie apocalypse.
They're making my wheat sad.
The emus. There were 20,000.
There's a
emus.
lot, and normally
A
they
lot. They
Normally they
migrate.
migrate away. So like they're there, but then they migrate away. But the problem is because the farmers were providing food, they weren't migrating
No
away.
reason to migrate. You're getting fat off the wheat.
So they said a lot of them being military people said, "Hey, I'll tell you what.
I'll shoot him.
You give us guns, we'll take care of the problem." And so they eventually were able to get. Let's see if I can find this person's name because I already forgot his name.
George Pierce.
So in November 1932, the 3 members of the Royal Australian Artillery traveled to the Campion District, which is where this is. Major Gwynedd, Purves Wynne Aubrey Meredith. Wow, that's a really long name.
Major
In command.
Gwynedd Purves Wynne Aubrey Meredith.
Can you just imagine? That's awesome. I want one. Sergeant McMurray and Gunner J. O'Halloran.
Wow.
That sounded like I was gagging. I apologize. So they went out with 2 Lewis automatic machine guns and 10,000 bullets to take on
20,000 emus.
Now, I'd just like to point out, this was a response. There was a secession movement
The brewing
happening
secession movement.
in Western Australia, and they were going to secede the Australian country. In fact, it was voted that they did succeed, but it never came to pass.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because of this.
You were going to say?
I was going to say because of this. The Emu War.
Not only that, but the UK came in and said, "No, you're not allowed to do that." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Okay."
Yeah.
One thing to point out is so machine guns were still fairly new at this time.
Yeah.
So this new machine gun, it wasn't just them being sent out with a random machine gun. It was actually supposed to be a test to see how
Effective.
good machines guns were.
And if you guys are interested, I mean, look up the Lewis automatic machine gun. It's a beast. It's like how I imagine. It's just like gigantic Tommy gun type of thing.
Yeah.
That you see in some of the older mafia movies. So here's this group of 3. Easy war. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna decimate the
mow 'em
emus.
down.
We're not gonna have a
Mowing the
problem.
emus down.
They go out.
Not the emos.
Not the emos. There they are. Oh no, sadness.
Tonight will be the night that I will fall on the ground dead.
So they tried
The
herding.
lacquer on my fingernails.
They tried herding the birds to ambush them.
They do.
What? Just that phrase right there. They first went out and were like, "Let's
So-
move."
It's a group of 3 against 50 emus.
That was the first one. Remember, 20,000 was the amount that they were supposed to try to get rid of.
They got 50 together.
And the 50 kept running apart and they couldn't get a shot off.
They did. They would shoot it in the emu. The thing about emus is when you research them, they can get up to about 50 kilometers an hour. I don't know how much that is in miles.
That's about
35?
Yeah, 35.
So, I mean, they can run really fast. So, I mean, if we put that into perspective, I think someone stated that means they could run across 3 football fields in like 20 seconds.
yeah, it's
So, I
super
mean,
quick.
They're super fast. So they start just gunning down these emus, or at least they think they are. And these emus are just taking off, running, and just going their own separate directions. And so here they are, just wasting tons and tons of bullets.
They call it the first fusillade of machine guns. That's what they call this first shooting at the first fusillade, and it was totally ineffective.
It just did not work out. So they said, okay, do you know what? Let's try again. So on November 4th, 2 days after this incident, the soldiers laid an ambush for the emus at a water source.
A dam. It was an actual, honest to goodness dam that they were hiding behind.
They literally surrounded the 3 of them. Surrounded 1,000 of them.
Thousands of emus. I just love the imagery here. It's just three guys going, yeah, we got it.
I want to read the journals of these guys.
So
The letters back home. Dearest Samantha.
Became an ace today.
Shot an emu.
But the thing is, they didn't. That's what is so funny.
So they go to shoot, and now they have thousands. So easy, just
Easy
mow
picking.
it down. Well, one of the guys pulls it out and clicks the trigger, and it jams. so one guy's shooting, the other guy's like, it's not working. And so the emus quickly scatter and run away.
They got unjammed. They started firing, and they thought they had killed a ton of birds. They're like, oh, they were patting themselves on the back. They had shot 12 birds.
So after 3 days of operation, they've only killed 30 emus. with 10,000 bullets still,
You can give some hick from Alabama a duck shot in a shotgun and could probably kill
Well,
all of it.
so here we are. What do we do? I have an idea. Let's put the machine guns on the back of trucks. And let's chase them down and start gunning them. Well,
Now, I just want to point out, just after this event, they go down to find fairly tame emus. But then they report that the emus have created little regiments of their own.
each being led by a dark, large emu.
Yes. So now they're in squads.
That had plumes. We're talking like full-on military plumes.
They have organized themselves against these three Australians.
And this is what it says. The bird stands fully 6 feet high and keeps watch while his mates carry out the work of destruction. Like, what the heck?
So again, we're gonna use trucks. So they get these farmers' trucks and they put them on the back. Well, one of the trucks crashes because it hit an emu. The emu got stuck on the wheel and it flipped over. Another gunner was trying to shoot from the truck, but the emus were faster than the trucks on the rough terrain. So the truck is literally bouncing up and down, so the bullets are flying everywhere. So, great progress. So
6 days from November 2nd to November 8th, they used a quarter of 10,000 rounds.
2,500 rounds and have killed a total of now 50
birds.
50 birds.
So, November 8th, news reports had widely publicized the failure of the Emu War. Can you just imagine reading in the newspaper this grand, it's like Emu War. It's like, oh, what's this? What is this? It's just why? So, members of the House of Representatives at Australia made light of the situation, jokingly saying, that everyone deserved medals in this conflict, most especially the emus, who had won every round so far.
Well, and then Major Meredith, the guy who was in charge, literally says, if we had a military division with the bullet carrying capacities of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with invulnerability of tanks. They are like the Zulus, who even dumb bullets could not stop.
Just a bunch of tanked up emus running into battle.
I would love to be a fly on the wall or rock per se when this is all going down. Of just these three guys.
It had to be comical. I mean, it had to be funny. Just watch. Could you imagine these guys screaming at the emus in the back of a Jeep, trying their darndest to shoot, and the poor guy is just shooting up and down. He probably put a couple bullets in his own truck. Another Jeep comes flying across, flips over. I mean,
it's just looking really good.
I feel like it would be like a comedy skit. What are those three guys? The Three Stooges. This is what's going on out there.
So, November 12th.
Second wave.
It was reported that of the 20,000 emus, and you remember that they've used up a
2,500
considerable
bullets.
amount of bullets, only about 986 emus were killed. Now,
If
there's
that.
speculation that there might have been more that were dying from their injuries somewhere, that maybe they were just hardy and they were able to run away and then they died somewhere else. But the people looked at it and said, why are the ratio of bullets and the number of casualties just not matching here. And so for the most part, they're like, yeah, we need to be done with this. So ultimately, the emus were considered the victors of the war. But I'm trying to remember because they complained some more, and it doesn't have it in this article. And unfortunately, I have to apologize. The paper I had, it's not on my thing.
So I'm also a numbers guy, and I think the statistics of the war is probably my favorite. So out of the 10,000 rounds they were given, they used 9,860 rounds, and I only had confirmed 986 emus. That means they used 10 rounds per bird to get him down.
And I mean, the time they were killing roughly 100 emus a week. When the initial operation was only supposed to be 3 days, they literally thought in 3 days they would be pumping like 10,000 emus full of bullets and they would all die. And
they were promising the military that you were going to have emu hats. You were going to have all these prizes from these emus, and sorry, no hats.
But instead, they just had flat emus that had been run over by a Jeep, and the Jeep was laying right next to it.
So, Emu War.
Well, let's talk about the aftermath, because I have to laugh at this. Not only did the emu win, the emu kind of created like a mutual destruction where the farmers again and again and again kept requesting help from the government, and the government straight up was like, no, they're too dangerous. The emus are too dangerous.
They ended up putting bounties on the emus.
And they literally described it, war, as an attempt at the mass destruction of the birds. They're using like atomic language here. Let's blow them up.
So the only permanent defense against the emus proved to be expansion of fencing over long distances. We're going to put up a wall.
Oh, man.
So now when they did end up putting bounties out there, and they actually had a lot more success with the bounties because but when you look at it, I mean, these communities, these farmers, ultimately, like, they had to leave.
Yeah. The emus won.
Yeah, the emus, like,
I mean, for all intents and purposes, the emus actually won this war, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
I mean, like, it's really sad that United States like lost the Vietnam War, but we don't have to say, yeah, we lost to a bird. About 20,000 of them.
It doesn't even have hands.
Just a big feathery.
So this brings me back to them.
Bird.
This brings me back to they're dinosaurs.
Oh.
So if we go back in time, everyone would be like, oh, you just shoot him dead. No, Jurassic Park would happen. And everyone would die because the emus were able to evade.
I mean, it's funny that you say that, but like actually thinking about it, so the raptors, how they portray them in the movies, there's a lot of people that will say, oh, we could have been fine. We could have shot the raptors. It would have been not a problem. But I mean,
these emus proved us wrong.
We literally have historical evidence saying, no, we would be kind of screwed.
Yeah.
We would have to like bomb the raptors.
Those emus weren't even trying. So, you know what's really funny about all this? The emu is actually considered Australia's national bird. So
that's like the bald eagle going to war with us.
It went from being a bountified animal or bird to now it has to be protected. So
I just like to point out something. I just read this. So that was 1932. Do you realize that Australia had only been a country for 30 years? By that point, it had officially been a recognized country in 1901. So that means in the first 30 years of its experience, it went through World War I, was on the good side, it won.
They won.
And then they lost to some birds. So they were able to defeat the Germans, but they can't take on their own birds that are taking them
it's
out.
not just the birds. Like Australia really has problems with just fighting animals in general. Mm-hmm. Because even though it's not considered a war, have you ever looked up what the rabbits did to Australia?
Oh, it ruined it because they
completely ruined it. They just multiplied to a point they were eating absolutely everything. The poor koalas were falling out of the trees. No.
Oh my gosh!
But koalas, koalas are stupid.
Oh yeah,
they're one of those animals.
Do you know what their defense is? Their armpit sweat. They squirt. They have a squirter under their armpit.
So do I.
That's disgusting.
Ours radiates around.
No.
I don't know how people can live in Australia and feel comfortable, because the number of stories I've heard about the spiders, the animals,
Snakes,
Well, I watch a Australian. It's like Australia's Dude Perfect. They're called How Ridiculous. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they used to go out to like this fire tower.
and drop stuff
things.
off. Yeah, sure.
And sometimes the things they drop would bounce and go off in the bush, as they called it. Well, like they would film them going out into the bush, and they were terrified to even like step off the road into the bush, because there could be anything that could kill them.
No, really,
like in an instant.
that it's a scary place. I mean, it makes you appreciate Crocodile Dundee even more.
And yet when I watch Bluey with my children, I go,
Oh, it's a beautiful
I
place.
want to move there.
I know.
Except I think that's Queensland, so
They might have a little bit of better.
they might be.
Might be a little better.
No, there's a lot of animals down there that are just straight up trying to kill you constantly.
Do you know they're trying to revive the Tasmanian tiger?
Oh, really? Is it on the list of let's bring it back from extinction?
Yep.
They have a few of those, and then they have that whole fiasco they just had with the
wolves.
Dire wolves.
Is it dire wolves?
I think so.
And it's kind of interesting. I'll be curious as soon as they start coming up with dinosaurs and everything. And
No, I'm waiting for the mammoth.
The dire wolves thing kind of bothers me, only because it's not actually bringing back the extinct animal.
It's just putting some genes in one.
Well, yeah, that's literally all they did. They just took a wolf's genes and then just changed a couple of things to make it look like a dire wolf.
well,
But
didn't
it's
they
not
say
actually
that
like-
the dire wolf wasn't even really a wolf?
Yeah, evolutionarily it like split up pretty long time ago.
Well, I mean there's a reason the Jurassic Park looked like lizards and not birds, because
Dr. Wu.
they decided to use frog DNA.
Speaking of that, the book is so much better than the movie. And I love the movie. I think the movie is fantastic.
I think the three
book
original
is
movies were good.
Fantastic. The 3, I will give you the first 2. The third one was hot garbage.
Well, yeah, the acting was horrible. But I would rather watch the first 3 than any Jurassic World ones.
Really?
Yeah.
I like
See,
the Jurassic World one.
I didn't mind.
I didn't watch the last
World.
one. Those traumatized me as a kid because I watched them. They were cool, but I had nightmares about dinosaurs for years. I had the stupid nightmare where you would need to climb up into a treehouse, but there wasn't enough resources, so you had to go to the next treehouse and the next one. And I had a group of people with me, and every time you get to the next location, one person would be gone.
Oh my gosh.
And it would be, you get to the end and it's just me. And then I go out to get to the last place and I find out what it is and then I wake up.
How old were you when you first watched it?
Oh, because what? It came out in 1993?
I believe so.
See, I was maybe 4 or 5.
So we showed it to you a little too young. Is it my fault? Am I the one who showed it to you?
I think you guys were watching it at Grandma's house, I think is where
That
we
sounds
watched
right.
it.
And
So.
I love. Do you know what movie used to freak me? Oh my gosh! I almost just fell off the couch.
How did you almost fall off the couch? You're literally leaning up against the couch.
The movie that used to freak me out the worst, that has a quote unquote dinosaur, was Godzilla with
Matthew Broderick.
Yep, the eggs underground that all lay eggs and stuff that used to terrify me.
I have a soft spot for that movie. I have gone back and watched it not too long ago.
No, I watched it a
It's
few weeks
pretty
ago.
bad. It is not great, but it is it's
The
See,
90s.
I remember
It's the
you.
90s.
I remember you watching that because I remember the VHS cover.
Yep, that was the eye.
Yeah, but it was the eye.
Yep.
Oh, VHS.
And to think that all of those things that we're scared of genetically mutated into an emu.
that's exactly what
or
it
a
is.
chicken duck, like Josh was saying.
Hey, when I had chickens, one of the most entertaining things in the world was watching them run. And then I would put on the Jurassic Park thing. And you can ask my wife, they run like dinosaurs. Like a healthy chicken when it's just out and about, it runs kind of like a dinosaur. And you have that
Like
brief
Jurassic
moment. You have that brief moment in your lizard part of your brain. You're like, should I be concerned about my chickens? Are they
Are they plotting to destroy me?
And they used to hunt. So they would hunt my chihuahua. My Chihuahua would be in the
Your
backyard, and
Chihuahua deserved to be.
they would surround the Chihuahua and like peck at it. Poor
I'm
guy.
sorry,
As the Chihuahua was like, "Arr, arr."
Pauline. I'm sorry, but your Chihuahua did deserve to.
He
be
was a
hunted.
bit neurotic.
I still have scars.
He was a bit neurotic, that Chewy.
I just want to imagine a T-Rex just being a gigantic chicken instead of the roar being the roar that we hear. It's just a
Hey, well,
and then all the humans
I'm
are like, run!
I'm sorry. The thing is the T-Rex was haunting until they realized it has lips. So now it's like duck face all the time.
Now it looks like it's got
Well,
fillers.
and what the recent report is that it could only run like 5 miles an hour. So you
Yeah.
could literally outwalk a T-Rex as it's running behind you.
Yep.
It'd still be scary, don't get me wrong. Maybe you get tired of it. Those itty bitty arms.
I wish I could play it on here, but they've done some 3D imaging of what a T-Rex like vocal cords actually sound like and done that. It does sound like a very, very low chicken. And very like so I mean,
So what we had is just a bunch of birds that were running around hunting things.
yes.
Yep, because Adam was a giant, and they just were to scale.
Oh boy.
Josh is bringing
Josh is-
some really
Josh is-
weird.
I'm just kidding.
I don't even know if that's like a new one. It's just Josh is just making up conspiracy theories now.
Well, yeah, we got to fill time. Jake's out of information.
I am.
No.
Jake's got plenty.
Do you know what's the best thing? 18 years later, 1950, the Australian government once again petitions to get ammunition to kill the emus. But instead of 10,000 bullets, they get approved for 500,000 bullets to kill the emus because they thought they were that much of a threat.
And they did a pretty darn good job. I mean, emus are still it's a still pretty populous bird, I think. Actually, I don't know. Watch,
They did have to get put on protection, I think, because they were on their way out back in the 90s. But
emu.
but again, it's their national bird, so you know
That is
it has a
hilarious.
special place in their heart, next to the kangaroo.
To the kangaroo, which, by the way, is another super violent
Very violent.
animal in Australia.
Have you seen Kangaroo Jack?
No, I straight up refuse to watch that show.
We
Straight up,
Mom and Dad
refuse.
rented it from Blockbuster. So, man, we're really aging ourselves
Wow.
with this conversation, but and we watched it at Bear Lake.
Yep.
Do you remember?
Mm-hmm.
And it was
was
one
a
of those.
joke.
It really was like because the whole trailers just made it look like you had this talking kangaroo,
Yeah,
and that was like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Of the movie. The rest of it was just them chasing after the stupid kangaroo or whatever.
Oh.
It was so bad.
I like even just watching. I can't even bring myself. I can watch really bad movies, and I can even enjoy myself watching really bad movies. But that movie just seems to me like it would be the worst experience of my life.
Do you know what I want to ask you guys a question.
Crocodile Dundee,
That's close.
fantastic movies.
Those
Yes,
are fantastic.
1
movies.
and 2. 3 was a little weird.
3 wasn't too bad, but it was still a little weird.
Well, he wasn't even in Australia. He was in Los Angeles.
Oh, isn't that the
That's
Mexican cartel
still-
or whatever it was?
No, that's number 2, and that's a fantastic one.
Yeah.
And it's Colombians.
That's right.
Yes.
But I have a question.
Yes.
Since there were 3 people in the Emu War, and there just so happens to be 3 of us, what would we hunt and call it a war?
Man.
I was not going that way.
Well,
The most dangerous animal.
everyone, the
most-
FBI is listening.
The most dangerous animal is
No, if we had a Tommy gun per se, 10,000 rounds, and we were asked to hunt something, what do you think it would be?
stupid gopher that keeps building this thing in my backyard.
I was going to say it's going to be something like raccoons here in Utah. And we would probably end up losing that because raccoons are devious.
I just like to point out when we had a gopher back in the backyard, I waited on the playset. Okay. Waited on the playset until I saw it starting to dig up. And I took a sword, a fake sword, but it had a sharp point. And I stabbed that son of a gun.
Oh, Josh.
Did you kill it?
I did.
Did you really?
I did like a King Arthur into the ground.
And I bet you felt horribly guilty
No,
afterward.
I felt absolutely.
You felt like a man.
I
How
felt-
old were you?
It's probably like 18. No, just kidding. No, I was. This shows you how young I was. So I got that sword when we went to the Scottish festival for the first time. So that would have been probably back when I was like, what, 7 or 8?
Yeah.
I was wearing my green blanket as a cape
Okay.
because I was a hobbit
Okay.
from the Lord of the Rings. And that tells you how young I was.
So Josh is a sociopath.
Josh said
Josh has serial killer ideations.
I feel like Narnia had just come out because I cleaned my blade on the grass like Peter does when Aslan asks him to clean his blade.
I will tell you, I have very little. Gophers are one of those that I do not feel any guilt.
Oh my gosh, I just had a realization. We have had a war
Okay.
against mosquitoes,
Oh,
and they have won every year.
I'm losing. And I'm losing year after year
Good
after
news is
year.
we have enough pesticide in our blood that they can't really do a whole lot to us anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
They land on you and they go, "Wah."
I would like to take a Tommy gun to a mosquito, though.
That would be the funniest
you-
thing.
Ah! Die!
It's all the neighbors are like, oh my God.
No, you guys should get like those salt guns that are they're supposed to be for like flies and stuff and just go out.
Have you ever actually tried one of those? So I've got one at home. You have to be like, it's like point blank range. It's not shooting the fly. It's literally assassinating the fly to get it. Like you have to point it like right at it to get the salt to do anything. If you're even like 2 feet away, it does not work.
Because we had so many flies in the Philippines, what you do is you take a rubber band and then you snap it so it's just one straight
Yeah.
rubber string, and then we would take it and we'd flick at them. I got really good because you could get to a point where the fly would be on the table and you just peel back the rubber band, let
really?
it go, and it would slip and kill it. And so that was my war in the Philippines, is against that.
The flies.
My
the Filipino
pest,
flies.
That, the frogs, and the stupid rat who had babies in my luggage.
my pest was bears.
Yeah, that's
in
going to be a
Canada.
little. That's going to be a little difficult.
So what I did is I took a rubber band and I aimed out the window and just and the
Take
bear
that,
looked
bear.
at me, shrugged its shoulders, and kept going. And I said, "It's over.
It
I
was
lost."
mostly black bears, though, right?
Oh yeah, we
You
didn't
never saw
have
the grizzly.
No, the grizzlies were further east.
Josh had a more dangerous animal,
A moose.
a moose.
Man,
Like I said, I had the what was it called? It was one of our podcast episodes.
the Wendigo,
Wendigo. Yep.
the Winnebago.
Winnebago.
You had the Winnebago.
No, but in all
Oh my
honesty,
God.
yes, I did have the bear, but the
The
moose.
retirement people have come.
It's a caravan. It's Trudeau. No. In all honesty, the moose was a more dangerous animal than the bear.
Hey, I've been chased by a moose on an ATV.
I know you have.
I could have died.
The first time I saw a moose in Canada, it was just after a horrific bus accident.
Did Josh have to change his pants?
No, the bus was crunched 2 or 3 rows deep into the bus.
Oh, how's that?
And about a couple 100 yards ahead, it was a moose who was walking down the street. It literally had hit the moose, the bus, completely destroyed the bus. The moose got up like it had just been pushed over or something and walked off.
They are terrifying.
And they're huge. Now, in Utah, they're huge. In Canada, they're ginormous.
Because what do they call the Kodiak?
They're
moose or
the
something?
Yukon.
The Yukon moose.
And literally, they, like a 2-lane road, they can walk down the middle and they take up like the whole road.
So see, Australians, you don't have dangerous animals. Please.
Are you kidding?
A little hopping kangaroo and a little bit of a bird.
World's most poisonous spider.
Oh, look at you.
Platypus with the stupid needles on the back.
You realize there's now going to be, it's Emo War 2. And it's going to be Danny out there with a bunch of emus.
You said emo too, Josh.
Oh, well, that too.
Do you know the night
do you
that
know-
I will fall for you?
Do you know what we've discovered from this? We're gonna have war with emos.
that
We're
our
just
alliteration is not
I
good.
mean,
Is really what it comes down
I
to.
feel like there's not as many anymore. I think that was just a millennial fad.
No, goth.
I actually think it's starting to come back.
Is it?
Yeah, there's this new trend that's rising that is emo-esque.
So gigantic pants and chains are going to come back?
Oh, gigantic
they're already
pants
back.
are big
Are they?
time.
Oh my gosh, big baggy gigantic
I don't
Jinko.
get out anymore.
Oh yeah, they are.
Mostly because I'm scared of emos.
They are 100% back.
Because I remember then the spiky boots
Yes,
and everything. So
spiky belts. I had one of those.
Or the collars.
I remember your spiky belt.
I had a spiky belt.
They had the chain collars.
Never had a chain collar. I did have the wristband with a skull on it though.
I do remember your.
So maybe
and
was I emo?
you had the skull shifter head.
You had a lot of dark.
Do you remember
clothing,
that?
I did.
You had the skull shifter head.
I've
And
never
the-
really been able to differentiate between a goth and an emo as much as rather than the emo is just kind of
Emo's
think-
a depressed goth.
I know, because goths are nihilistic.
explain.
And goths don't
They're
care.
follower of Darth Nihilus,
Yes. No, goths don't care.
destroyer of worlds.
Oh, Josh, that was a very nerdy
So-
statement.
Goths have an apathy towards the world. There's not like they don't care what's happening. Where emo is almost the opposite. It's almost like everything has to have an emotional response. They just kind of dress
Nice.
similar. Come on, guys. I grew up.
You
You
were
guys
the
grew up
90s.
around it, but I grew up in it. I mean, I had friends who were both,
That's true.
like straight up emos. Like
It's kind of interesting when we look back. Josh, you had what? You had skater friends.
I did.
You had emo
Emos.
friends.
Emo friends,
Um,
goth friends.
goth friends, and you were just kind of in the middle.
I had straight edgers that were friends. I had.
For some odd reason, when you said straight edgers, I thought you said skinheads, and I was like,
I didn't have any
dude, you were,
skinheads.
you were rolling in the.
I did have some like true blue punk friends.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like old school early 90s punk friends.
See, and it's funny. You guys had better names. Do you know what the names we had? Hipster. The end.
I think that all the emos became hipsters. I don't think that there's a separation between the two. I think it was just the evolved version. They're like Pokemon.
So what is the next emu?
Who's that Pokemon?
They hit level 32.
hipsters.
They did. They turned 32, and then all of a sudden they're wearing glasses like,
Hipster, leer and sigh, sigh.
what are you listening
man.
to?
Are we done yet? If anyone's still listening at this point, we appreciate your support.
What were you in high school? Were you an emo? Were you a goth kid?
Were you
If
an
you
emu?
were, are you now a hipster?
Are you an Australian? Did you wage war against a certain animal?
Did you cry as much as I did when Steve Irwin died?
Oh, why'd you got to bring that up right at the very end? How sad.
We got to bring it all together, wrap it up. He fought against the emus.
No.
He loved
loved all
all
of them.
life, Josh.
Yes, he
Come
did.
on, Josh.
He also would fight alligators and poke large cobras with sticks. And I mean,
Yeah, going back and like watching some of his stuff, like very much an animal lover, but he did annoy animals. Like I am sure like half of the things that he's picking up, wow, look at this snake. And it's like, oh, this poor snake is like,
Look at
just-
that line over there. Let's go poke it with a stick.
I'm going to poke
I,
it.
I just remember it's like, I found the daddy spider right here. He was eaten by the mom, which means the mom's really close and really angry. And then he like finds the mom, no one comes out. And
No,
that's
my
why I didn't
favorite
like
is-
big spiders.
Is he's holding a snake and he's like, this is one of the most dangerous snakes in the world. And then the snake bites him and he's like, we got to cut this short.
He lived well
But his
did.
kids are doing very well.
and doing the same
They
thing.
are awesome. Yeah, his son Robert is literally going to be the next.
Yeah, he shows up on the late shows every once in a while.
And then his daughter,
Bindi.
Bindi, is huge time activist for different things, doing great. Then the mom just runs the zoo.
Good for them. See, Australians,
Now
what you should have done,
is
you should have made peace with the emu
and make Steve Irwin your king.
and then cohabitated with the emu.
Do you know
But
what this
technically his kids would be illegitimate because the mom is American.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, she's from Washington
I know that, but why would that make them illegitimate?
because they're not Australian.
They were born in Australia to an Australian father.
but she was not Australian
Oh,
royalty.
Josh is getting into like
I'm Jake.
some. Oh, Jake isn't saying no. Josh is getting into some serious like politics over here now. Good job, Josh.
I just want to say, and I've brought this up so many times, and I think this is really important. In fact, I feel like I need to stress this and carry on with this like opening so you guys are just anticipating something amazing.
Jake hates history.
You can't go outside. You just can't go out in the woods. You can't go anywhere. Just stay home. It's nice. There's air conditioning. There's no emus. There's no emos. There's no nothing.
Okay, I just want to point out, emus in Australia would seem bad, but can you imagine them in the woods of mountains? That would be absolutely terrifying.
That would be terrifying.
I'm scared enough.
So I think
emos in the mountains would be terrifying.
What the heck are you doing here?
you have the hippies smoking some stuff, and then the emus over there, and they're just staring at you.
Sigh.
So, yeah.
So there you go.
I feel like this has gone on forever. What are we at? Are we like at an hour and a half now?
Jake, no, we're just barely getting to the end. We're getting to the point where we can now do
Final
our
words?
final words. Josh, go ahead and do our final
You
words.
guys have made this history
Are you-
last forever.
Because if we don't get done with this, Jake is going to he's going to quit this podcast.
Okay. So,
Which, by the way, it was his week to pick an idea, and he's the one who wants it over. So,
But that's because it's history.
hey, if you want to just pass the baton, man, I love history.
I can do that.
Okay.
no, you can't do that.
You can have my.
Part of the joy of doing this is watching you suffer.
I see.
You can have my.
Speaking of human condition,
Yeah, human condition. I hate
what does the
that
brothers
stuff.
want for Jake? Suffering.
Suffer. Okay, Josh, final thoughts.
Steve Irwin should have been king of Australia,
I agree.
even though his kids would technically be illegitimate, because his queen was not part of Commonwealth or any sort of royal system, unless if you call the presidency a royal system, which I'm pretty sure George Washington squashed that when he won the Revolutionary War.
At least we hope so.
But in all reality, I'm scared of emus and emos.
And emos. Do you think an emo can ride an emu?
Oh my gosh, that
It would be an
legendary.
emo.
You-
Emo.
I think you guys are trying to set me up to draw something.
An emo.
I'm going to make Danny the emo.
Okay, final thoughts.
You, Danny, what's
don't-
your final thought?
Don't wage a land war in Australia with large birds.
Okay.
That seems like that's a bad idea. And history has shown that it's just not going to go very well.
Can I just point something out? At least it wasn't the bird boobies,
That's true.
because then they would have lost the war to boobies.
That is true, Josh. Thank you for such an insight.
You're welcome.
Very insightful.
That was a tremendous statement. I appreciate you
Thank you, Josh.
bringing that up.
Thank you, Josh, for
Maybe Monty Python just need to say, what's the velocity of an emu in swimming in water? And then they would have won the war.
And before this gets just even sillier than it has ever before, Jake, final thoughts from you.
In emu species, it's males who incubate eggs. And they have a booming vocal range with deep grunting sounds. But most important, and this is a statement for everyone here, emus cannot walk backwards, which is why they are featured on Australia's coat of arms, symbolizing movement forward. And the fact that they can outrun 10,000 bullets and make a complete mockery of the society in which they have
So
a coat of arms for.
that makes sense. So the people, you know how you're supposed to lead an animal or something when you're about to shoot it? They didn't learn that concept yet. So they were like, they're going to move backwards at some point.
We apologize to all Australians.
I love Australians. They have the coolest accent. And whenever they talk, you could just listen to them for hours.
And all I can hear them say is, want to come to a barbie?
Oh. And with that, thank you for joining us on Twaddling Along.
We're sorry.
Voila.
Join us next week as we talk about the paranormal, which I believe it will
Sydney
be
Opera House. I was just saying that in an Australian accent. I haven't thought about paranormal yet.
Well, think about it. Think
You've
about
had
it deeply.
3 weeks.
Yes, we are going to talk about.
Don't come up with something now because it will be ridiculous.
Okay.
I can't trust you to make good decisions right now.
Next time, we're going to talk about Danny is a